in 2019, and the context for this is that we, as an organisation, implemented our strategic plan called Football Ways. The purpose of that is to inspire and enable all Victorians to live and love football for life. And the vision of the strategic plan is football for all, anywhere, anytime. You'll see the pillars there, our clubs, facilities and infrastructure, enjoying our game, promoting our game and our people, with a focus of women and girls, financial sustainability, influence and advocacy, best practice governance, and living our values and behaviours. Our values at Football Victoria being respect, integrity, unity, leadership and inclusiveness. Something that we'd love to instill not just in our own organisation, but through the football community as well. That was important context because obviously since our announcement, we've come up with a futsal strategy, and the first point of the strategy for futsal is to formally recognise futsal within that strategic plan. We wanted to make sure that we could facilitate futsal's growth, including in schools, and to foster the increase and development of players, coaches, referees, futsal clubs and futsal centres in the broader futsal pathway. The second item of the futsal strategy is to provide futsal competition providers and futsal clubs with a genuine value proposition to partner with Football Victoria via a revamped affiliation and support program to grow and develop futsal together as a unified futsal community. The third item in the strategy was to integrate futsal within the implementation of our current facility strategy for football and advocate for increased and improved football facilities with local, state and federal government for the benefit of all futsal competition providers and futsal clubs across Victoria. And I'll be going into these items a little bit later. Whatever we did in Victoria, at the same time when we were rolling out our strategy, it was only recently that Football Australia also included futsal in its 11 principles document, which it recently published in October. And the principle, according that related to futsal, was to establish a national agenda for futsal and beach soccer. The FA wants to reinvigorate the dialogue between FA and also the relevant stakeholders, particularly the member federations, in a unified, inclusive and collaborative manner to establish a national agenda. They also want to investigate the creation of new football products to grow futsal and beach soccer as well. So it's exciting times, not just for our state, but there's positive discussions and movement at the national level as well. In line with the strategy, our priorities in 2021 was also in 3 different segments. And the first one being event management. We wanted to make sure that we could roll out the annual state futsal championships. We wanted to ensure that we could develop the F League for Victoria. I'll talk to you about that a bit later, for juniors and seniors. And we also wanted to roll out a school futsal championships. We'd love that to be all year round, including with School Sport Victoria and non-School Sport Victoria schools. The second segment was market development, a really important one as well. We wanted to make sure that we could get futsal coach and referee education and development back on track. We wanted to reinvigorate the dialogue between us as the governing body and affiliated futsal providers. We wanted to make sure that we could develop a new affiliation and support program for futsal providers and clubs. And again, we wanted to integrate futsal within the facility strategy and ongoing advocacy. And that all makes up the market development of the sport. The third segment was about elite pathway programs. Our state representative squad program that competes at the annual Football Australia National Futsal Championships in January. This is a program snapshot that's being proposed and something that we worked through. So in April, we'd have the state futsal championship. So looking from left to right, we proposed to roll out in an ideal scenario that we'd have school championships running all the way through from term 1 to term 4, whether that's 2019 or not. It's yet to be obviously determined because that's quite new and it's quite a massive exercise to work with all schools. Our state representative program usually commences around August with some open trials, and then we'd also look at an FLE competition for juniors and seniors that would run in the football off season, and the most crucial period for futsal being October and December ahead of the National Futsal Championships. There's also some discussions with other state federations and nationally to have that F League during the winter season. This is still being determined. The National Futsal Championships occurs in January every year. It's usually that first week of January, and it's been held in Canberra and Sydney. We'd love to host it in Victoria one day, and I'll get to that in a moment. In terms of coaching and referee courses, as you can see there, we will be rolling out community and advanced coaching between March and November. Prior to our announcement, we revamped the Football Victoria futsal website, which is fvfutsal.com.au. That's up and live now. That is going to be a great hub for the futsal community going forward, for players, coaches, referees, club administrators, centre administrators, and that will be updated. That's being updated regularly. What we are going to do, and we wanted to get that up and running in February, but it looks like it will be done in March now. We want to make sure that we can have a futsal clubs directory and a futsal centres directory where players, referees or coaches or anyone who has an interest in the game can look up their nearest futsal club or their futsal centre to play or to participate in. And that will be crucial when we align the school's pathway, as well as the school students will be feeders into those clubs and those providers in the future. Please check out this website, and if you've got any feedback, I'd love to hear it as well. The Football Victoria State Futsal Championships. It's going to be held on the 12th and 14th of April. It has been running on a yearly basis. It's a marquee event in the Victorian futsal calendar, and this year it's going to be held at the Caroline Springs Leisure Centre and Dairy Sports Stadium. This year we want, in the spirit of uniting everyone, we really want to bring together all our futsal clubs and centres to participate. We're anticipating 100 or so teams this year. All participants, players, coaches, referees will be registered in the Football Australia Play Football system. And we'll use this event as an opportunity to identify talented players, coaches and referees to represent Victoria at the 2022 Football Australia National Futsal Championships. The age groups are on the right-hand side, and if you go to fvfutsal.com.au, team entries are still open, and they close on the 28th of March. Futsal coaching courses. In terms of the futsal coaching pathway, you can see in green there, that's the futsal certificate course and the futsal license course. We haven't been able to run community courses for some time. We're pleased to announce that we will be doing that this year. In terms of an AFC license refresher course for those who have already done advanced coach, I think the last course was done in 2019. We'll be running a refresher course for those who have done the AFC level 1 futsal license. That date is actually to be determined, but we believe it will be sometime in March. The AFC level 1 futsal license course for this year is being scheduled from the 27th of June to the 3rd of July. And the prerequisite for head coaches to coach Victorian state squads at the Nationals will be that they need to have a level 1 futsal license course. So that is a key course in the calendar this year. So make sure you save the date if that's of interest to you, and we'll be able to advertise that course very, very soon, hopefully next week. In terms of the futsal certificate and license courses, so again, just going back to that last slide, we're looking at the community coaching pathway only. So the community is made up of futsal certificate and the futsal license. We'll be holding 2 certificate courses and 2 license courses from March as well. So we're just in the process of working out the dates. And we've also requested to have here in Victoria to run these courses virtually, so we can accelerate a lot of the learning And obviously, given our circumstances, and really want to cater not just for Metro Melbourne, but for regional Victoria as well. There is a big backlog of many coaches wanting to do the course, and also referees as well. So our target's to have 80 qualified futsal coaches by the 1st of November this year. Futsal referees. So we're responsible for the referees across Victoria. Referees officiate pretty much in every competition there is in Victoria, and unfortunately, there are many that are refereeing unqualified, unaccredited, and that's because they haven't had access to the courses. So it's our duty to make sure that all referees that are, if you are from a futsal centre across Victoria, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from your referees. We'd love to make sure we can get them on our upcoming courses that we'll be able to reveal soon. Because if we can get them upskilled, refreshed, have a sense of belonging, learn from each other, learn from others, and get them access to some really great mentorship and some development. And we know there's a pathway for futsal referees as well. From the grassroots, they can be refereeing at the National Futsal Championships, just like players, they can be identified. And there's also a FIFA panel for futsal referees, given that there's a Futsal World Cup, and our association with the Asian Football Confederation also brings a lot of opportunities for Australian referees to officiate in Asian countries as well, and Asian tournaments. Just like coaches, we'd like to have 80 qualified futsal referees by the 1st of November. And there is very strong interest already online. If you have referees or coaches that would like to do the course, or if you are a referee or a coach, if you're interested in doing the course, anyone here, you can go online at fvfutsal.com.au and fill out the referee or the coach expression of interest form, and we'll contact you once we advertise the referee and coaching courses. I'm pleased to confirm, thanks to Adrian Tamplin. Again, Adrian's the AFC FIFA instructor for referees, and he's here on the call today. We are going to deliver a refresher course for futsal referees who have completed the Level 3 course, and that's going to be on Tuesday, the 9th of March, and that's going to be a virtual session. Adrian will host that, and I believe he will be joined by 1 or 2 FIFA futsal referees. They're based in New South Wales. So we're very pleased to run that event because it's very much needed, in particular because of the lack of courses that we've been able to offer here in Victoria. And we've also now determined that on the Sunday, the 11th of April, which is the day before the State Futsal Championships in April, we are now going to have an all-day or half-a-day refresher course. That's going to be more of a practical session that day prior to the event, the tournament. So it'd be good, I guess it'd be a good induction for those referees refereeing at the State Futsal Championships for 3 days. And we expect a lot of mentorship and development opportunities for current and new referees over those 3 days. The Level 3 futsal referee course, as you can see, will also be held in March, and that will be in late March, the 22nd and the 29th. Both nights are compulsory. You can't attend one or the other. It has to be both nights. And for those that are going to be identified to referee at the State Futsal Championships, we will also invite those referees to come on that Sunday as well. With that, there'll be an annual FV Futsal referees registration. So like all referees, to keep their accreditation, they must be a member of the member federation, which we will organise, and we can get them registered in the system and covered for insurance purposes and things like that. Just make sure we can get all their details and make sure we can keep them up to date and again, developed. It's a crucial area for futsal. For women and girls, futsal represents an excellent opportunity for Football Victoria to move forward on our commitment to achieving our overall target of 50-50 gender participation balance by 2027. Some really good news, and obviously COVID has interrupted that in the last year, but UEFA and the AFC now have launched international competitions for women and girls, and now FIFA's Women's Football Development includes the creation of FIFA Women's Futsal Competition, so the FIFA Futsal World Cup for women. So that was launched back in October 2018, but no announcements have been made since then. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But if we can get ready for that, that's a true pathway for women and girls, not just globally, but perhaps we'd love to see. I know in Victoria would love to see a national women's team, just like there is the men's team for futsal as well. Futsal in schools, a very crucial one for us, not just for futsal, but for football as well. It's pretty much where everything starts. We're in positive discussions with some of the school bodies, including School Sport Victoria, regarding futsal in primary and secondary schools. We hope to have some announcements soon from School Sport Victoria regarding futsal activities in Term 4. And obviously, futsal and football align with SSV's own participation objectives. Similarly positive, we hope that we can have some announcements in regards to non-SSV schools. Again, the timing on that will be the determining factor. And we really want to build on already popular football programs that are in schools at the moment. And of course, for futsal clubs and futsal centres, they're the future players, aren't they? So we want to make sure that we can have a good pathway from school to club to centre to state squad to Australian national representation. So we also want to identify not just players in schools, but also some really great ambassadors for futsal and football that we can utilise to fly the football and futsal flag within the school system. In terms of facilities, Football Victoria has a great facility strategy, and we've been able to unlock some really great funding to address the chronic shortage of facilities for outdoor football. We've really worked on the way we partner with all levels of government to do this. And, in terms of the third item in our strategy around facilities, we really want to have increased and improved facilities for futsal. So unlocking government funding for this is very crucial. I'm pleased to say that I've had some really great discussions with some local councils already since we've announced our new era for futsal, and I'm looking to see what councils will work on in terms of the development plans for the sport. And so far the discussions have been mainly around how we can incorporate futsal into multi-purpose environments, which already includes basketball and netball, of course. Just wanted to show you something from Netball Victoria's strategic plan, and you can see what I've highlighted in yellow there. Not much different to how the futsal economy works. And, the key words there is about, enabling the Victorian netball economy to flourish. Affiliates have more access to courts to enable their memberships to grow. So it's all about partnerships. Their focus areas is implementing their statewide facility strategy, enabling a greater number of netballers to play, successful licensing program of netball products to social netball providers. So these are our competitors. This is what they have in their strategic plan. This is what they're doing every single day. This is from Basketball Victoria's strategic plan, and it's to identify, develop and maintain strategic partners when it comes to ensuring facilities are adequate to meet growth. And also, as a governing body as well, they've also said our organisation will strive to support associations as developing businesses to ensure basketball is a priority tenant with security of tenure. So that's what we're up against. That's why we need to be so aggressive here in advocating for futsal facilities, because we expect that futsal's played wherever netball and basketball is. We also wanted to come up with, develop an affiliation and support program for us to, I guess, partner and unite with futsal centres and clubs. There's around 40,000 players who play futsal and indoor soccer across Victoria. So we really need to partner together as a governing body and as affiliate providers. And we're working on some things in the background in regards to a support program. How can we support a program? How is it mutually beneficial that futsal clubs and centres can come under the umbrella of Football Victoria, and what do they get in return, and vice versa? So, going a long way to making sure that we can have the Find a Club Centre directory. You can see on the screen there, official sort of affiliate club centre endorsement, so that local councils can see that when you go to venue hire. We're talking about letters of support, advocacy with grants, depending on how your entity is structured. We're talking about use of our Play Football registration system, our insurance cover, regular dialogue and engagement with us. I expect to have monthly virtual meetings or face-to-face meetings, so we can ensure we build something that's special together. Referees support and development. Referees will be told to ensure that they're refereeing at affiliated centres, because if we're going to go through the trouble of making sure that there's consistent standards of refereeing and coaching and experiences for players, we want to make sure that we can control the environment, not to control the environment, but to make sure that they're having a consistent experience at these competitions. Affiliated centres, clubs would get access to obviously our Football Victoria tournaments, the F League. There's also a Go Futsal product that we have where I'm thinking it'll be great for futsal clubs and centres to access the Go Futsal brand when it comes to running school holiday programs. We can centralise that in a portal where, if someone wants to do a school holiday program outside, for example, the school environment, and they live in Brunswick or they live in Cheltenham or they live in Caroline Springs, they can go on our website and they can look up the centres who are doing school holiday programs, for example. And we have a host of other benefits that we're looking at doing, but some really great discussions that we're having so far, and getting a lot of feedback as to what the community actually requires. It's no good us building something that the community doesn't want. We want to make sure it's mutually beneficial, and again, keeping in mind the 3 points in our strategy to ensure we've got enough growth in the game and facilities as well. Our futsal state representative program. So each year, Victorian squads are selected to go to the National Futsal Championships, which I've touched on before. So we'll have a 3-phase process. I'll have to work with the technical director, Boris Serstan, with this and how we incorporate this in the second half of the year. In the past, we've had a 3-phase process, which includes open trials, talent ID at the State Futsal Championships, and also the proposed new F League, where players are playing week in, week out, and we can identify these players for Victorian squads, but also coaches and referees that will go to the nationals as well. F League. I'm not sure if you've seen, so in 2019, we did an independent review of futsal in Victoria. Because of COVID and 2020, we couldn't implement a lot of the recommendations, but we're here now in 2021 actioning a lot of this. And one of the key recommendations from the FV Futsal review was that we should aspire to host or co-host an elite futsal competition in 2021. That's not rare for state bodies to do. New South Wales have done it really well in the past, and also Capital Football in Canberra. We've had various levels of Premier Leagues in the past, and also not just us run by the Federation, but some really good private providers as well, who's got some really great products as well. But how can we, as the governing body, implement something that's going to be great for Victorian futsal players to be able to compete against each other on a regular basis, and we can use for talent ID. And the recommendation also said we should aspire to work with the major existing futsal providers to create a state league with the exact composition of the league, the duration, and the agreed rules determined by FV in conjunction with the affiliated providers. So not us telling you what it should be. How do we build something that we all can embrace, that we're all going to aspire to be a part of, and proud that this is coming from Victoria? On the right-hand side there, F League is coming. That's came from Queensland, who made a recent announcement about their F League competition. We are in discussions at the moment nationally with other federations and also Football Australia about how we roll out the F League in every state. That is yet to be determined how we do that, but there are some really great discussions around how the current NPL model for outdoor is set up, and it's got NPL Victoria, NPL New South Wales, NPL Queensland. having a centralized brand, which we then perhaps can then go on to set up a national futsal league competition or national F League that could be administered by Football Australia and pick players for the Futsaroos men's and the women's later on. In terms of commercial marketing and advocacy, we're going to increase visibility and profile of futsal in Victoria by what we're doing. We already have integrated futsal in our annual FV marketing and digital content plan, so we know when we can, include on social media. We can have media articles. We can plan certain things already from January 1st to December 31. We know when it's going to be out in the calendar around the various opportunities. And from a commercialization point of view, I know from a sponsorship and fundraising, 2021 is probably a bad year for that. But I think that with our mass participation of futsal across the sport, given there's 40,000 players that play futsal in indoor soccer, we need to harness that. We need to uncover opportunities for commercial growth of the sport, sponsorship, funding, grants. And I think we're a very unique position like football, where we can highlight futsal's participation as a key competitor to basketball and netball, and particularly because we can drive a lot of key multicultural and health outcomes, with key partners like Vic Health and the Victorian Multicultural Commission, those type of organisations where we can really, show as an organisation and as a sport we're set up to achieve a lot of those outcomes for them. Just give you a bit of a snapshot of Victoria. There was 21 affiliated futsal clubs before I took on this project. There was 6 affiliated futsal providers, meaning competitions. And the official data just for FV Futsal out of those 40,000 was only 1,315 players. There's currently 50 unaffiliated providers, including indoor soccer, that are not under the umbrella of Football Victoria. And that means that those referees and those players and those coaches, and we can't control the experience, or we can't, have any influence there. In terms of social media, like the website, I encourage you to check out Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All you have to do is just type in FV Futsal, will come up in each of those social media platforms. They'll be key to us being able to get our messages for you, whether it's referee course announcements, coaching courses announcements, or anything like that. So stay tuned on social media, please. Questions? You can use, everyone's on mute at the moment, but you can use the raised hand emoji to ask a question, and I'll unmute you. Or you can write your question in the chat. It depends on how you feel comfortable. Okay, I'm back. Where are we? Is there any questions? Okay, Neil Mallet. Sorry, I can't hear you, Neil.
Can you hear me now, Anthony?
That's better, much better. Thank you. Welcome.
Sorry. Thank you. How are the negotiations going with those other groups at this stage? I know you and I have had a discussion about one or two of them, but obviously the success of this venture really hinges on embracing all those different bodies, and I'm just interested to know how it's being received at the moment. And
yes, very well, thank you, Neil. I know from our discussions, and I know that you've been involved, especially with the Australian Futsal Association.
Yeah.
I haven't had direct discussions with them as yet. We've reached out, and I think what it's going to be is that, you know, we're here to unify the sport. We're not here to say to people to, you know, you can't play here, you can't play there. For us, it's the narrative is genuine, and we want to make sure that we do things right by implementing those 3 points in the strategy. And again, if we can get the referees sorted by having them at our, you know, prioritised at our affiliate competitions, we're going to start then making some headway and making our affiliates, you know, a lot stronger, so that we can make sure that any operation that wants to work outside the umbrella, we don't want to make it hard for them, because again, the biggest stakeholder here is the 40,000 players. We need to protect their interests. But I'm very positive with the work that we'll do, is that we'll be very inclusive and make sure that we can work with anybody that wants to work with us. So that's the conversations that we're having. I think, given that there are 50 unaffiliated organisations out there, it takes time to go through every single one of them, and also run trying to organise the state champs and the priorities that are. There's currently priorities everywhere at the moment. So I'm not rushing into partnering and the affiliation centre. As I said during the presentation, it's really important that we build something together, not just us telling you. We can show the leadership we want, but at the same time, you know, people will go, well, you know, it's very one-sided and it's not mutually beneficial for me to go through this exercise. So there's a lot of trust and credibility exercises that we needed to build that from not having governed the game in the last 10 years, so to speak. So there's a lot of things we're working on, and I said the narrative is genuine to unify. So we want to hear from everybody, and we want to work with everyone in the best interest of those 40,000 players, getting those referees, coaches, and also making sure that our all levels of government have faith in us to unify the sport and ensure that when they do, and when we do, unlock funding for, grants or participation or for new facilities, that we can have some level of degree and quality of those users as well.
Okay.
Marco. Not Marco, that's Jack, isn't it? Do you want to unmute yourself, Jack? Can you unmute yourself? There you go. Can't hear you, mate, sorry. Can't hear you, Jack, sorry, mate. Gustavo, we'll go to you. Do you want to just unmute yourself? Gustavo?
Yeah, hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Just a question. Will FV Futsal be looking to home and away competitions where the clubs will be able to use their own facilities for their own benefits, like having home and away games where the club can be everything about their home, where getting community together to see their team playing and support the team and things like we see in Brazil, for example?
Yeah, sure. You talk about the F League? You'd be talking in an F League environment?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Look, I think that's yet to be determined. Whether
I see guys going to a certain place to compete there. I don't see anyone have their home and have home and home.
Yeah, yes. we have done this in the past, and I think whatever we do is consultative, and we hear from the clubs and those who are going to be involved in that league environment. I think it's really important whether we go down a centralised model, whether it's a centralised venue and teams and clubs appear at one venue, or whether it's able to be logistically worked out where we can have home and away venues in different locations, different regions, and players travelling. We all have to sort. That's something we have to still work through, Gus. I'm not going to say to you that we've got it all figured out, but we have done that model in the past, and we've also had a centralised model. So we really need to come up with something together that we're all going to want when the time comes. And we'll obviously be in touch with the survey and also some one-on-one and some group discussions when the time comes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where are you based, Gus, may I ask?
Espendale.
Okay. Just got some questions on the chat. So look here. Yep, so Gus, we've got yours. Thank you for your comments, John. Okay, Tom asked, my understanding existing FV soccer clubs have existing member rights to be involved in futsal programs. FV have certain clauses required in affiliated soccer club constitutions, including of which is the definition of football as association football, as recognised by FIFA from time to time. To avoid doubt, at the date of incorporation of the club or the date of adoption of this constitution, football includes the games of football, soccer, football, indoor or five-a-side, futsal, football, and beach football. It's a great question, Tom. It's something that myself, our head of clubs and community engagement, Megan, is actually on the call with me today as well, and also our legal counsel, Sophie Saunder. We've been in some really heavy discussion in recent weeks, including as early as this morning, just to clarify that, because there are some football clubs who are now going to enter our state championships as a futsal club, and they have to go through. There's some paperwork that needs to be done, but essentially, from what we've confirmed with Football Australia, is that they can use the same entity as their football club to register the futsal club. It's just basically some paperwork that needs to be done before it goes into the system. And also, I'm talking about the play football registration system, and also then that will impact the players who have to register for the futsal club as well as the football as well. So happy to speak to you offline there, Tom, but it's already in motion. There are some clubs also, including on the call today, who are going through that process at the moment, just waiting for my confirmation. So happy to take it offline with you, Tom. Joshua Palverenti says, elite players want to play in a club competition all year round. Will this be something that FV will look to achieve, and how will this align with competitions such as Series Futsal Victoria? So Josh, believe discussions already, other federations are looking at this. I think F League Queensland are going to play theirs during the winter. I think, given our announcement that it's been recent, we also need to look at the current football market. Futsal is a sport in its own right, but, do we have enough players to sustain a winter or all year futsal competition at the moment? Do we have enough facilities? Do we have enough players to share with football as well? So we need to look at that. And again, we won't be making any decisions around the F League unless we can get a good round table from the really great dedicated people that are on this call, and also that are running futsal clubs at the moment, because their experience in running centres, running clubs, is the feedback that we want to hear from, because ultimately, we also have to see what the impact from COVID has been on player registration for futsal this year as well. So we want to make sure that we're making some really sensible decisions going into making sure that we can have an F League that we're proud of and is sustainable, not just, stop and start based because we want something to happen. So Series Futsal Victoria, it's a good point. Really great competition that one of our leading providers runs, Futsal Oz. So, we're not going to stop providers from running leagues. That's not what we're here for. We're here to unify the sport. But what we want to do is have, a lot of the leagues and centres that we have on the call tonight is how do we feed in the best players from those competitions into an F League where there's representative players or teams going into playing in that competition. In a window where we know, for example, in an ideal world, this is just my personal opinion, but in an ideal world, we'd love to see where, first of all, we need a football window and a futsal window. So all football clubs know that futsal's being taken place in this part of the year. So we know that we can have players that are able to participate, for example, those who are already playing football. But we also then need to have a window where it's clear for the futsal competition providers to know that this is when they can operate. This is when they know they're going to be running their seasons throughout the year from January to December, but need to allow that, Football Victoria is going to have the state futsal championships in April, for example, and also they're going to have, we're going to support, the F League in, say, October to December. We need to come up with those decisions. We need to build that pathway around having something we're going to do together. So thanks for your question, Josh. Marco, or Jack, sorry, you must have missed it. You've said will there be a criteria for futsal centres? Yes, there will be. So just like clubs, we are just not rushing into that at the moment. As I said, we want to build something that's mutually beneficial, and we need some further feedback from the centres that are involved. And we're just also dealing with a situation where obviously a lot of the centres haven't seen their players for 9 months due to the lockdown. So we need to be, especially respectful, and we can have some really great discussions, but I'm not rushing into the centre affiliation just yet. Our first priority is to get the futsal clubs up and running for the April State Futsal Championships, and we'll have further discussions with those centres. To answer your question, though, in full, some of the clubs that we're affiliating also have centres, for example, like yourself. So we need to work on a model pretty quickly, and your feedback will be crucial there. But I will forward you the slide. You must have missed the slide. I'll forward it to you after the call. Is there any more questions? See the chat. Let's have a look here. Sorry. So someone answered, will there be an AFC level? Joshua also answered if there's going to be an AFC level 2 coaching course this year. Josh, we are still trying to get drips and drabs at the moment in regards to the coaching education courses. There are some changes at Football Australia level. Similarly, there are changes to the referees program. I know Adrian Tamplin on the call today is working very hard in rewriting a lot of the courses. There's always updates to the laws of the game that affect from the referee side. But similarly, from the coaching perspective, we really want to get that sorted. As I said, we've got the AFC level 1 done. If we can get an AFC level 2 coaching course, that would be brilliant. I think Sam Munash is also on the call today, our AFC coaching instructor. Sam, are you there? Would you like to answer that, Sam? Sam's not there, but that's okay, Josh. If you are interested in doing that, I can take that offline with you and flag that. But there is also a coach's expression of interest course. So if you can put that there, there is an option to have the level 2 course. So if you can actually click that box, that would be great. I'll just unmute Sam. Sorry, one moment. Not working, buddy. No, sorry, Sam. Doesn't let me unmute you. Okay. Okay, thanks, Josh. Any more questions? Adrian, did you want to say something from a referee's perspective of give us an update from a referee's perspective at all? Sorry. Sorry, Adrian, not sure what happened there. I got a response from Sam. Sam's just said to us that at this stage we do not have enough coaches who have satisfactorily submitted their AFC logbooks. Once that is done and coaches are at the required level, we can have the course. The vast majority of coaches' licenses are also expired, so participation on the refresher course will be required. John, thank you for your question. How can we help Anthony to support you? And I think that's a great sentiment. Already, since we've announced this, it's been really well supportive, and I'm very confident that we're going to build something quite special here. There's a lot of things that need to be done. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of priorities, every single day, and a lot of things in motion. I think it's a great question, and there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of good people out there in the community that we need to tap into, and there's a lot of people willing to help, willing to support, willing to provide their feedback of what's out there. You guys are the eyes and ears out there in the community, so that your feedback, your experiences out there, especially with yourself, John, for example, in the women and girls space, and what you're doing, what you're seeing with the girls coming through, not just from football, but in the futsal space. Similarly, Jack's been Jack Degonjic, he's on the call today. He's been part of futsal since the 1980s, 60s, before I was born, Jack. So in terms of tapping into that, and it's really important that we hear from the people. So if you ever have any feedback anytime, please feel free to hit me with a comment, message, anything like that, because we want to hear from you. But we will be making sure that our engagement is proactive. That's something that I think we've lacked, and I think it's important that we have proactive, discussions, formal meetings to get the group together. And I think also from an events perspective, there's going to be times where we could really help, need some help with events. I know we've already got a good team that we've got a bit of a working group that we've got together around the referees as well, making sure that we can get them all sorted. We would love to do the same with coaches. Sammy's doing a lot of work in the background around coaches. I know Jack and Mark Georgeson as well, transitioning, making sure the regulations for the events and the tournaments and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of things that we're impacted by from a national futsal championships perspective. So we want to make sure, I asked a question today about a futsal standing committee today, too, as well, and I spoke to Kim on about that earlier. Yes, we will. We will, Tom, be looking at a futsal standing committee, but there isn't a FV constitution review that will be commencing very shortly, and that will, the outcomes of that will happen in 2021. So as soon as that review finishes, we'll know what the status is in regards to the futsal standing committee. Adrian wants everybody to start using the word pitch and not court in the context of playing futsal. So if we can publicly declare that, it's actually a futsal pitch and it's not a court. So that's a really good comment to say. Thank you, Adrian. Adrian, I'm not sure why I can't unmute you. Adrian, you must have done that on purpose, mate. Guy, nice to hear from you, Guy. Will there be a criteria for the acceptance of club registration? We are, for an example, an all-year-round futsal provider, but unfortunately, come summer, we have to compete with pop-up futsal clubs that only operate in summer and migrate to football in winter. Should they have the same rights and access to pathways and tournaments through FV as we do, who cares about futsal as a sport and don't use it just as training for football in the off-season, as we develop and promote futsal all year round? So another example, another great question, that's what we're dealing with every day. So we need to really build something that's sustainable. This is about building, an entire ecosystem that's going to cater for these 40,000 players. How do we, if we're working with schools and we're going to go through that exercise of making sure futsal's in every school in Victoria, and then going to feed them into a futsal club environment, we need to build sustainable clubs. We want to make sure that you guys are strong in order to be able to cater for them. That's why we're doing a lot of work in the background. You know, again, Megan's on the call today, but we've been talking about the criteria. We've been really, it's actually quite a painful experience because, you know, we have an idea of where we want the criteria to be for futsal clubs, and it should, you know, should it be like football? Should it be like outdoor clubs? Who some of those outdoor clubs got 1,500 players, right? But some of the futsal clubs might only have 20. Some have got 200. You know, futsal in Ballarat, I'm not sure if Dermot's on the call today. They've got 750 players. So we need to try and work out, yes, Guy, that's a great question. I think the criteria has to be one and for all. But I think our job as a governing body is to make sure that we can help the clubs, whether small now, you know, how are they going to grow in the future? We need to make sure they can see that potential now before it gets too big. You know, we've got. I was speaking to somebody yesterday. They're a sole trader operating a futsal operation. They've got 200 players, so we need to make sure that they're protected as well in terms of their business structure, and we need to make sure that, you know, what we do is it's you know, as consistent as possible across the state, because, you know, we're all dealing with children, we're all dealing with their futures, we're all dealing with participants, and you've got, you know, local councils, they'll be coming to us, asking us, you know, is this futsal club or futsal centre that are looking at hiring our court every night of the week an affiliated centre with Football Victoria, because they're going to know what's coming, and they're going to know what our expectations are as well. Daryl Barry says, well done, Anthony, for taking the initiative and bringing the great sport of futsal together as a united organisation. Do you foresee Futsal Victoria as having a FIFA-approved home futsal centre for staging national, state or F-League championships? That'd be a fantastic aspiration to have that. We're currently building the home of the Matildas, which is in Bundoora. I believe the completion of that project is potentially, I think, December 2022 or early 2023. That's yet to be seen. There's still some, you know, a long way to go in terms of getting that over the line. But I believe home futsal has been flagged as part of that project. Again, it's all, you know, funding dependent. But, you know, if we can have some really great venues for futsal, what we are lacking across the sport and across the state is a proper international size courts for futsal. We're playing on basketball courts, netball courts that don't even have, you know, our own line marking. What we lack is, you know, how are we ever going to, you know, we want to host the national futsal championships here in Melbourne, but we want to make sure that we can have some great show courts, some really great international size courts that these players need to play on. And I think from an F-League perspective, we need to be playing on that court. We can't be playing on the small courts. So we need to, whatever we're going to do, Daryl, is that we're going to find to make sure that the pitches are suitable for that league, just as if, you know, they're ready to play at the national level and international level. Guy well said, danger of outdoor clubs registering as a futsal club. Look, I think we need to find that balance. Yeah, I think you know, it is a true debate. You know, John's on the call today. There's some other football club representatives today, Steve Andrinos. Steve has some really great, doing some really great things for futsal over many years. I think we need to, you know, have some really open and honest discussions about building a proper futsal pathway that is sustainable. And when I say that, I mean that, you know, Guy mentioned, yep, stop, start, you know, futsal clubs that just come in at certain times of the year. How can we, as the governing body, try and promote and foster an environment where they stay on, you know, all year round? And there's enough. We need to make sure there's also enough coverage in each of the areas for, you know, students to feed into futsal clubs in their area. If there's no futsal in the area, you know, they're going to have to travel. So we're at the very early stages of building something that's going to cater for every futsal club, futsal centre in Victoria. We're not here to compete. We're here to unite. And how do we do that all together? So these are real honest and, you know, questions that we need to ask. How are we going to, you know, all live together, so to speak, you know, in this environment, because this is something that, you know, we all want to succeed. I guess a standard pay rate for refs based on their qualification can be south to look into as well. This in turn can encourage refs. That is a great question, and that's why we are making sure that we can take control of the referees. We want to make sure that there's consistent pay rates across the state. They're also getting, the same uniform, great, the same sense of belonging, same insurance coverage, same mentorship, same development. It's same for the standard pay rates that we would be proposing that referees get. The more we can do to be in charge of their appointments and things like that. Look, that's another question. Like in the past, we've had a model where we've also we're also appointing futsal referees to events, to competitions, to providers on a weekly basis. Sometimes we used to do that at Ashburton on a Wednesday night as well. So I think we need to look at that, and we're going to have to work with the providers to make sure that they're looking after those referees. Not just from a pay perspective, but at the environment as well. Are they being looked after? Are they getting a coffee? Are they being fed? All these little things that really make the experience of a referee and a participant all good, because you're at the coalface of the game. The players, coaches, and referees, their experiences are with you, not with me. They're with you. And if it's a poor experience, they're not going to come back, whether they're a referee, club, or whether a referee, a coach, or a player. Rodrigo said, will there be a registration fee for referees? Yes, there will be. What we've done this year, the registration fee is very low. It's $50. And that will basically, once you do the refresher course, the course will cost $50, and that will also be the membership fee. So there's no extra fee to do the refresher course. So we just want to make sure that there's no barrier in that regards. Referees haven't been serviced by us for a long time. It's not in our interest to be charging exorbitant amounts of money for a membership fee. We just want everybody to be together. They'll be able to recoup that money at the state futsal championships when they're paid by Football Victoria directly for the matches that they do over those 3 days as well. John says, what if any opportunities could Women's World Cup 2023 present? FA legacy program, facilities growth, especially girls and women. John, you'd know more than most because of your standing on the Women's Council as well at the national level. I think it does present a wonderful opportunity as part of their Legacy 23 document. It's not just for football; it's going to have a legacy impact on all facets of the game, and I think including futsal. I would love for them to be able to extract, the investment they need to get a women's national team up and running. That would be just unbelievable. And if they can preferably do that this year, that'd be fantastic. Not wait to 2023. But again, it needs to fall in line with what AFC are doing, what FIFA's doing. It needs to be a pathway for them. We can't just be charging young women and girls to, this is another thing. We all know that the experience that players get, the national futsal championships, for example, playing for Victoria, they pay obviously, to go to those nationals, but to play for their national team, to play for their country, would be amazing. Yeah, and we know, I think, as part of that legacy document, they're looking into the younger national teams for younger age groups as well, just from a football perspective. Thanks for your support, John. Any other questions? Darren Tan, we haven't heard from you. Nothing? What about you, Steve and Drinos? I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your experiences with as a football club running futsal. I have no idea why I cannot unmute your microphone. I really don't. Okay, I have just allowed you to unmute. There you go. I found the magic button. Go for it, Steve.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
Hey guys. Yeah, firstly, fantastic initiative by yourself and Football Victoria, and the number of participants on here just demonstrates how much we are keen to see futsal progress and develop in this country, in this state. Yeah, look, Ashburton's been managing futsal programs now for about 25 years. So it's probably one of the longest running futsal programs in Victoria. And for us, we see it as a part of the development of a footballer. Some of it's social, some of it's more elite. And, we've got senior programs for men and probably about 10 leagues for juniors on a Sunday. And we love the fact that not only is it participants from Ashburton Soccer Club, but there's participants from a lot of other clubs. John from Glenara, he's been fantastic to register about 8 teams because they see the value of futsal in young girls' development. So for us, yeah, it's an exciting initiative. We really want to be part of it. And yeah, we're here to assist yourself, Anthony, Football Victoria, and other clubs and centres, and share the knowledge to make this work.
Thank you, Steve. Jack, did you want to say something, mate? You can unmute yourself now pretty well. Still can't hear you, mate. Sorry. Neil, you've got a question? You can unmute yourself.
No, that's the old one, I think. It's still up there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, look, I mean, even if you don't have a question, we'd love to hear from John's suggestion is a good one. We'd love to hear from people's experience coming out of COVID as well. How are you? I'd love to hear what's happening out there. I think is it Gus? Do you have a question again, or was that from before as well? Will the state championships be televised via the net? Yes, it will be. We're looking at what games we do. Definitely the open men's and women's matches will be done. We want to look at how we package up some of the games during the day with the juniors. So we just need to make sure that we can have the necessary permissions and it doesn't cause any issues during the day. But we will definitely be doing that. Who else is on the call? Mark Georgeson, are you there?
I'm here.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
How's your experience going?
From COVID?
I think what I'd love to hear from your experiences in the Gold Coast at the Gold Coast International. So as a futsal club that participate in futsal all year round, and then you would have gone to the National Futsal Championships in January, and then you would have also a few weeks later go to the Gold Coast International. I'd love to hear. I'm sure the group would love to hear your experiences at travelling to that tournament and the future of that.
Yeah, well, my club, the Pirates, we were the first Victorian club to go there way back in the day, not long after it first started, as the Craig Foster. It's probably over about 10 years ago now. So from that point of view, we encouraged a lot of Victorian clubs to go up there and play the game because it is one of the world's largest gala futsal tournaments that you can participate in. And of course, going to the Gold Coast is a great place to go. It's a lot of fun, and the standard of futsal is quite high. So the norm was to go to the Craig Foster, which is now called the Gold Coast International, and then come back to Melbourne and then head off to the national champs, where they would invariably be in Canberra or in later years Sydney. So that was the norm. So that's always been the calendar for the major events for futsal in Australia, and it works quite well. So the kids love it and they get a great experience, boys and girls. So we've been doing that for over 10 years now. So it's been great. Highly recommend it.
Great, thank you for that, Mark. Martin, are you on the call? Martin Van Els? Adrian, you still there?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Adrian, is there 5 FIFA futsal referees at the moment?
We currently have 4 FIFA futsal referees, which one is now on the shortlist for the FIFA World Cup.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so he's on the opportunity list. But unfortunately, or fortunately, they're all in New South Wales.
Yeah. Martin Van Els, how are you?
I am well. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, very well. How are things in Japan?
Well, for those of you that know me, I'm from Bansa. I'm from way down in the country area. COVID-wise, we've actually been shut down since November 2019 through the bushfires. So we haven't actually been able to play any competitive anything since November. We've had three-week time periods to actually get on court, which hasn't been helpful. So we're gearing up to get going next in April. So we're waiting to see what it's going to be like. You know, we've been shut down for 18 months now. The fires really ripped through here, and then COVID came, destroyed our holiday period. So, mate, it's who knows.
And how many players would you normally have registered with your club?
So we've had a peak of 550 in the last 5 years. So that's in a town of 12,000. And we actually play at 5 different venues to get enough court time for all of this in 3 different towns. A town for us is about an hour away. So we run from the little kids, 4-year-olds. Our oldest player just retired at 58 this year. Couldn't quite, after 18 months off, couldn't quite bring themselves to come back again. So yeah, we run the whole age group there.
Okay. And you're still refereeing these days, are you, or what are you doing? What are you doing today?
Yeah, it's still refereeing. It's hard to keep the referees involved down here after so long. They referee us. We've had invites to send them down the line and do courses. We've had Roscoe come down to us and run some stuff here, which was good. But we don't get a lot of exposure outside of our own town, which is a real shame. We don't get the opportunity to play against the other clubs as often as the Melbourne guys do.
Yeah. Yeah. And is the state futsal championships, for example, on an annual basis, is that something that's accessible to you?
It's accessible, but very expensive, very time consuming, because it's not like we can just go to work for the day, drive down there for half hour play. At the last one we went to in 2019, we had our men's team play. That was because we have to book accommodation so far in advance. People have got to book time off work, even though we're only playing at night. We can't drive back home again. So we had to book holidays, 6-8 weeks in advance to get time off in that time period. So without the draw being released before then, we had guys taking, I think we arranged for a 6-day window. So we had guys off work for anywhere between 3 to 6 days with accommodation for 4 nights. So that's fairly expensive for a club to send teams down to play. We have played in the state league that was on a few years before that. We went down there, one game was forfeited. Now the team didn't turn up. They only had to drive half hour. And we drove 4 hours to get there and forfeited. So it's tough. We want to play, but it's really, really hard, difficult for us with the time and expense. We love the more regional stuff. You guys come down and visit us. That'd be bloody awesome.
We're seeing a lot of success in the regions. You know, similarly in Hillsville and other areas that have similar impact with yourself. Where would you say a lot of the 550 players come from?
Most are the juniors. We have a very healthy, healthy in respect. We've got, you know, eight teams playing in the men's. We've got a women's league, 4 teams are playing there, which is very good. We play most of the year round. It's just we don't get a lot of exposure to other futsal competitions and clubs and other styles. They see us play.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all our players see, unless they commit to the a longer trip. I mean, we've been playing futsal since '89, and we've got guys that have been. I've been involved in the club since then, and we've got guys that just absolutely love it. And yeah, I want to see the sport grow and get back to what it has been and could be and should be.
Yep. I'd love to speak to you offline. I'll certainly do that with you, Martin, and see how we can get make it a bit more accessible for you guys over in Bensdale. So, Sam Munash, I think, is a product of Bensdale, I believe, is also now our AFC coaching instructor. Sam, are you there now? You can unmute yourself.
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
How are you? Can you give us a bit of an update, if you don't mind? I'm sorry to put you on a spot, but you happy to give us an update on how things are going from a coaching perspective?
I can give a little bit away. That's all right. There's still a fair bit that's in discussion with Football Australia.
Yeah.
So there is the AFC refresher course coming up. That's for all coaches that have a level 1, level 2, or level 3 license. It's going to be a one-day event. We are going to roll it out in Sydney first, and the instructors will all get our training there. So we are rolling out the uniform product across Australia. Focus for me is developing coaches, because with better coaches, we get better players. And we'll be rolling out the community courses as well as the AFC course. And we're also looking at having a fitness course and a goalkeeper specific course in Australia. And Melbourne was a potential home.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Conscious of the time, it was going to finish today at 9:30, so we've got about 5 minutes. If anybody's got any last minute, who we got there? Martin, I think you're still on. You've unmuted still. Sorry, mate. Let's have a look. Who we've got? Anybody else? As I said, we've recorded today's session, so happy to circulate that. Thank you very much for everybody that has been attending. I'm sure a lot of you I've still got to meet and to talk to one-on-one, so I look forward to that. Adrian, thank you for giving up your time. Adrian's been instrumental in
Anthony, we've lost your audio there. Hello everyone, my name's Megan. It's unfortunate, it sounds like we may have lost Anthony there, so perhaps I'll just jump in and I can see some movement there with Anthony's screen. Anthony, let's give you another go. Can we hear you there, Anne?
Is that better?
We've got you there. Perfect.
Okay, thank you for filling the void, Megan. Appreciate that. Adrian, I just want to say, I don't know if you heard me, but I want to say thank you for the work that you've been doing, revamping the referees courses. You'll be instrumental for us in being able to get referees back on track. Macca's Wi-Fi, Anthony, thank you. You'll be instrumental for this year, as will Sam in the coaching. Thank you to Jack and Mark Georgeson as well. From a working group perspective, you've been really helpful. And obviously, you know, it's too hard to single out those who have made me feel very welcome in particular, and making my job a lot more easier, because we have some really great people out there that can really, you know, want these changes to occur, want, you know, the best for the sport. So we just need to work together. Yeah, sorry if I've missed anyone, but, you know, I look forward to working with you all. And please, if you've got any feedback, email me, message me, you know, check out the website daily for stuff. We're also going to make sure that the resources and forms sections are going to be stacked with the necessary forms and documents that are needed on a daily basis. So, you know, any feedback like that, you need something that you know, that you want on those websites, web pages, let us know. All right. I'll let you all go off to bed or back to your centre. I think Jack's in the middle of working as well, like many others. I think Adrian as well. So thank you very much for your time, and you know, let's unite and you know, together for futsal. So thank you very much, everybody.